Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Maxim. Thank you to the TOA team for organizing this and for inviting me. I'm here today to talk about two main topics. The first one is to illustrate that our news system is actually broken. And the second one is to say that this is a problem that we can fix. I'm not here to be all doom and gloom and to say, you know, with social media and AI, everything is over. I'm here to say that, that we can change something. I'm not here to pitch my product. I'll do that sneakily here and there, but that's not my purpose. But I want to raise this issue, and so let's get started. So first, a little bit about myself. As our lovely MC said, my name is Maxim Nitsche. I'm the co-founder and CEO of DeepNews. Our aim is to provide trustworthy and engaging news to everyone around the world. And before that, I co-founded Math42, a math learning app in 2010 that was used by over 6 to 7 million users across the world, which was sold in 2017 to a company called Chegg. But a little less about me. Let's get right into it because we don't have that much time. So let's start with the why. Why do news matter? I don't think I really have to explain, but I think it's always a good reminder that quality journalism is the bedrock of our democracy. It is the way we inform ourselves, it's the way we learn about new stuff, it is the way that we know that certain things go right or wrong. If they go wrong, it's the way we act against them. Without being informed, there is no tomorrow. Without being informed, we can't make decisions. Without being informed, it's going to be really, really difficult to tackle the issues at hand. And what we see today is that we have a little bit of a struggle when it comes to news, and this struggle is what I'm here to talk about. So, I'm a very understated German guy that doesn't use any intense photography, but here I think it's warranted. The news system is broken, right? There was a Reuters report last year coming out, and I just wanted to present 3 key numbers to highlight and illustrate the issue at hand, right? Today, 29% of us say that they are worn out by the news, right? 29%. 38% now sometimes actively avoid the news. And last but not least, and that's a number that actually truly terrifies me, 58% of us, maybe not in this room, but 58% of people now say they don't fully trust the news. That is utterly terrifying to me. I'm sorry, I think we can hear a couple of voices in the, like over a microphone in the back. Just quick feedback. So let's talk about how this came about. And then after my doom and gloom phase, I'll talk about what we can actually do to fix it. So it all started with information overload. It's just so much news, right? It's, you know, we've seen the amount of topics that are being covered over and over. We have the feeling that we're constantly confronted with them. We've seen that, I think, in the most extreme case with Trump, where we all kind of felt like during his presidency that we couldn't evade news about Trump. It wasn't possible. Every time I interacted with news, I saw Trump. We had a little bit of the same with COVID. We had a little bit of the same now with the Ukraine war. And the issue with that is that if that is the brand of news, if the only thing that we're confronted with is a couple of topics that are incredibly intense, anxiety-inducing, that is something that is the ultimate turnoff to readers, right? And so this is something where we need to be incredibly careful about, without, on the other hand, saying these topics don't matter. They matter. The question is, how do we present them? So the first thing was information overload. And then came a little thing that maybe a couple of people here heard about called social media. And social media made things go from bad to worse, because the news was tremendously impacted by social media, because it's the place where we now all are, right? So if the news want to come into contact with us, they have to go through social media. And if they want to go through social media, they have to play by their rules. And the rules of social media is, if you want to be promoted, you have to be engaging, you have to be enraging, you have to be sensationalist. And if you're the news media, if you're on social media, that leads to sensationalism and clickbait on part of the news media. Because that's the only way they will get clicks. That's the only way they will make their ad revenue, right? That's not their fault. They're just trapped in a system that forces them to do that, or else they won't survive. And I think it's better for them to use sensationalism than for them to die. Another question, another lesson for the news media might be, why do we stay on social media? And that is because they solve two main things. One, they're incredibly addictive, of course, we've all heard that, but they're addictive through personalization. I get the topics that matter to me, I get them on social media. And of course, and that's a little breather in such a heavy topic, we get cat videos. Cute cat videos that divert us and that, and that distract us. I just love this. I found this morning and I could watch this all day. I could stop talking, watch this, we'd be fine. So that's what social media did, and that's something that we, as a news industry, and we're a very new partner in the news industry, should learn from. And now, another thing that a few people might have heard about, there is something called generative AI. And a lot of people that I talk to in the news media say Pandora's box has been opened, right? They say that while on one hand I can use ChatGPT to, I don't know, help me with my emails or write a birthday card to my mother-in-law, something that I might not want to engage with. That's one side, that's very useful and helpful. But what generative AI is and what it has proven to be is it's the ultimate bullshitting machine, right? I can go to ChatGPT and ask fundamental, simple questions, and I will get wrong answers, but provided with such confidence, with such inherent confidence, that I say, oh yeah, I believe that, sure. So that's a passive thing. More active is I can use generative AI to fuck with people. So I think a lot of people saw the image of the Pope with the parka. Funny, amazing, great. On the more terrifying side of things, we saw the arrest of Donald Trump and what that incited in the US and the feedback that got, especially from right media. Terrifying. So the thing that I have here is, while I see all the benefits, the big danger is that we as a society have always geared towards convenience over what's good. We did that with social media, and so if ChatGPT and generative AI become more convenient, even if we know that it might not be trustworthy, just because it's more convenient, we will flock to it, right? So this has led to this sentiment. Just to reiterate, this led to, all of these things led to a trust rate that is below 50% in the general population. But I promise you, the first part would be doom and gloom. I'm not here for doom and gloom. I'm not here to chase you out with like terrified, anxious faces. I'm here to ask a very simple question, or answer a very simple question. Can we fix it, right? And there, I think we have to first understand what is, as a startup guy, we always think, okay, where do we want to go? What's the ideal goal? And so this is what we'll do now. The goal here is, what is the news of the future, right? What do we need to do to engage, especially younger audiences? The average subscriber of a digital news product currently is 47 years old. 47. That's not that great. I talked with a couple of friends from the UK, and I told them 47 is your average subscriber, and they said, I wish, 56. I was like, okay, cool. But what does the news of the future mean? It doesn't mean for the New York Times to become the next TikTok. That's not the objective. The objective is to create the best possible news experience that engages, that stays true, and that is key to the principle, to the ideal of quality journalism. So, what does that mean? And here talked to you about sneakily showing what we do at DeepNews. The first thing that you have to solve is you have to guarantee that you inform your readers on the topics they care about. And there we have to differentiate between two things that matter. There are things that matter in general, elections, important economic info, stuff like that. And then there are things that matter to us personally. I love chess. I'm a huge nerd. I've played chess since I was 4 years old. I want to know everything about chess. Cheating scandals, anal beads and all. I want to know everything about that, right? But if I now go to the New York Times, maybe I'll get the major cheating scandal, but I won't get, or the Spiegel or the FAZ or the Süddeutsche, I won't get everything that matters to me. That's something that social media has done tremendously well, but that currently the news world doesn't do. So I think this is the first promise that we have to deliver on. Deliver what matters in general and deliver what matters to you personally. And then, and we talked about trust, in the news world, it's not a dangerous and bad word. We try to aim for trust. We need to enable our readers, and here the big word is enable. We need to enable our readers to trust the news again. And what does that mean? It's no longer enough, I'm just looking at the time, it's no longer enough to say, trust me, I'm trustworthy, I'm a trustworthy brand. It's no longer enough to say, I'm the New York Times, just trust my news. People just don't do that anymore. It's just too messy, it's too complex. And so what we need to do there is to give them the tools to verify. So this is what we do here is we show you different perspectives. We show you a political bias. In the future, we'll show you fact-checking. You need to help them understand the topics that they care about, the topics that they want to understand. And that's currently not the case. So this is, in my opinion, the two things that we need to do for a news product of the future. It needs to be informative personally, and it needs to be trustworthy. So why don't we have that yet? Well, this can be boiled down to two words, volume and complexity. Every day, there are, per second, 100 articles at least that are being published around the world. Let's say that you're a very fast reader and you only use 1 minute per article. It would take you 16 years to read all the articles that are being published in one day. That's an amount of content, an amount of news that is just not tackleable. It's just not understandable. And then, not only do we have an incredible amount of news, it's complex. If we want to understand what's going on with COVID or with the economy or with certain facts, the amount of information I need to bring together, the patterns that I need to understand, is tremendous. And what I want to illustrate with that is that the news, or the news of the future is a problem, or is a thing that we will no longer be able to do exclusively manually. It's not something that can be done by humans alone, right? And this is where, of course, the AI can come in, right? How can AI help? Well, let's think about the underlying problem. We talked about volume and we talked about complexity. AI is great at two things. AI is incredibly fast, and AI recognizes patterns. If I'm fast, I can deal with volume. If I recognize patterns, I can deal with complexity, right? So that's why, and that's the underlying problem where AI will tackle this issue, right? That's how we will leverage it. Okay, 33 seconds, so I will wrap out really quickly. So this is the way that we can fix the news, right? It is leveraging AI to enrich the news, to curate it so that it makes sense, to curate it so that it actually is trustworthy, to curate it so that we stay engaged, right? And before I end, a quick call to action to the people in this room. I'm sorry to wrap this up so quickly. We have engineers and entrepreneurs here that have amazing ideas. We have investors that can invest in these ideas in this room. We have the news media that can push these new ideas and communicate them to society, right? In this age of AI and hatred and trust and populism, right? What we need is not something that disperses the bullshit even faster. What we need is not populism. What we need is not clickbait and sensationalism. We want to have something better. What we need is trust. What we need, at the end of the day, is quality journalism, right? Because only then will we have a sustainable news system that helps us all make our decisions. So please help us out, and thank you for listening to me.
So the question top, when Gen AI is based on 2021 data, how can it be used for news?
So we don't employ Gen AI. I don't think that every new problem needs to be tackled with Gen AI. There are other AI systems, argumentative AI, classical systems that can approach this issue much more with much more speed and much more precision. The problem with Gen AI is that it's comparatively slow. If you type in a query, it takes a surprisingly long amount of time to respond. And if you deal with that amount of information, you need a different type of AI that can, for example, what we do handles 2,000 articles in 1 second on one core. It's about incredible speed, and being able to personalize for millions upon millions is something that Gen AI just won't be able to do in its current state.
Want to take another one? You can go. The second one. How to avoid echo chamber in news consumption?
It's a great question. So the way that we do it at DeepNews is that we strictly separate generally relevant content from personalized content. There is a space for personalized content, and there's a space for non-personalized, generally relevant content, so that you don't get trapped in a bubble. You always get, of course, what interests you, but you always should also be in contact and confronted with, these are the topics that you absolutely need to know about, right? And these should never mix in journalism, in my opinion.